They believe you could not do it without them, but they forget that when people count you out, God is still writing another chapter for us. Yes, God is still writing another chapter for us. If this is your first time of coming across my channel, please do well to subscribe, like, click on the notification button. And for my subscribers, I love you so much. And to all of you, this message is for you. This message is for those who has been treated like they were never enough. You were surrounded with people who constantly reminds you of your weakness. Your ideas, the ideas you shared was questioned. Your dreams are always criticized. Every step you took was washed with doubt instead of support. Some people looked at your struggle and decided that your struggle would be your permanent address. But God is telling me to tell you that they do not have the final say, because He is working behind the screen. He is working behind the scene for you. They looked at where you were and assumed they knew where you would finally end. They assume you will always be there. They assume that was your end. They saw your difficulties and convinced themselves you would never rise above them. They thought what they did not understand was that God has never needed the approval of people to bless someone. Joseph's brother looked at him and saw a dreamer they could mock. God looked at Joseph and saw a leader. David's family looked at him and saw a shepherd boy. God looked at him and saw a king. People often focus on what is visible. God focuses on what is possible. Many of you listening have been sitting in places where your value was never recognized. You kept giving your best. You kept showing kindness. You kept showing loyalty. Yet the people around you acted as though your presence was ordinary. They made you feel replaceable. They made you feel small, not enough. They made you feel as though your future depended on their approval. What they did not realize was that the same God who opens doors for Esther, Joseph, Ruth, David is still opening doors today for you. There came a moment when you stopped looking for validation from people who had already made up their minds about you. There came a moment when you became tired of proving your worth to people, determined to see, determined not to see it. There came a moment when you stepped away, not because you hated them, not because you wanted revenge, but because you finally understood that God cannot lead you into new tragedy if you refuse to leave the place that kept pulling you backward. The people around you thought you would return. They expected life to break your confidence. They expected failure to force you back into their hands so they can mistreat you. They can just misunderstand you. They can just devalue you as they always did. They believe you would need more than they needed you. They believed they forgot something important. When God is preparing a table for you, He doesn't need He does not He doesn't ask your enemies for permission. While they were expecting your return, God was preparing your next season. While they were discussing your limitation, God was arranging opportunities. While they were speaking against your future, God was working behind the scene. Like I earlier said, God is working behind the scene. You could not see it at first. Some days were difficult, some nights felt lonely. There were moments when their words echoed in your mind. There were moments when doubt tried to convince you that they were right. But God was not measuring your future by their current situation. God was measuring your future by His purpose for your life. Then something began to change. The doors that once remained closed started opening. The opportunities you prayed for started appearing. The confidence you lost started returning. The strength you thought was gone started growing again and again and again. And little by little, God began to show you that your destiny was never connected to the opinions of people. The same individuals who once ignored you started paying attention. The same people who questioned your potential started asking questions. The same people who expected your failure started watching your progress. They were shocked, very shocked, not because God had forgotten them, but because they never expected God to remember you in such a powerful way, in such an outstanding way. Some of them are now witnessing blessings they never thought would you would receive. Some are now watching favor they never thought you would find. Some are now realizing that the person they underestimated was carrying a purpose they could not see. This is why this is why scripture tells us not to despise small beginning. People often laugh at the seed because they cannot imagine the tree. They see the present moment and believe that is the entire story. God sees the ending before the beginning has ever unfolded. Today, I believe God is reminding someone of the truth. You are not who they said you are. You are not limited by the labels they place on you. You are not trapped by the mistake they kept reminding you about. You are not disqualified because others refuse to believe in you. God has the final words over your life, not your critics, not your doubters, not the people who walked away, not the people who devalued you. God. And when God decides to lift someone, no amount of opposition can stop it. The lesson for everyone listening to this is simple. Never allow people to define your future based on your current situation. Never build your identity around opinions of those who cannot see what God has placed inside you. The same God who lifted Joseph from a prison, the same God who raised David from a field, the same God who remembered Hannah when others overlooked her, the same God who restored Job after his suffering, the same God is still working for you. Your story is not over. Your season of being underestimated is not your final chapter. For those who believe you could not make it without them are about to discover something powerful. When God is involved, what seems impossible to people become possible, and the success they never expected from you will become the evidence that God was with you all along, because he has a greater plan for us. Thank you for staying till this time. Thank you for staying till the end. God bless you as you continue believing and trusting God, because his plans for us are plans to bring us to an end we never expected. Just like our enemies, they see our beginning and feel that it is over. They feel it is the end. They feel they know the end of our story. But God is asking me to tell you to hold on, to be strong, and don't give up. I love you and thank you so much for watching so far.